Meanwhile, no doubt about it, was the big story yesterday. Of course, both Arsenal and Liverpool losing. Sunday roast, top chumps, Super Sunday, blown it.
Oh.
The headlines not pulling any punches when it comes to both of their defeats. Let's hear from Mikel Arteta after the game.
Well, if one result is going to do that, then we are not strong enough. That's very simple. So we had one of the best performances in the first half that we had this season, by far, against a really good team. It should have been 3 or 4 or more. It didn't happen. In the second half, momentum shifted. We could not control and generate what we did in the first half. We struggled. We conceded 2 very poor goals, and we lost the game. So congratulate the opponent. And now is the moment to stand up as a leader, as a character, to make yourself count, because when you win and 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 win for 4 months, it's very, very simple to do it. The moment is now.
3 or 4-0 up after the first half. Did he watch the same match as we did?
I don't think he did. And honestly, if indeed you're going to make that argument, then you should also mention that Aston Villa had a real difficult time in the first half. They were very poor in their performance. So it isn't just about you, it's also about the opponent. Because when the opponent raised their level, you didn't raise yours. And beyond the performance of Arsenal, or lack thereof, at some point you have to look at yourself if you're Mikel Arteta. Because we sit here and criticize players when they have a tough time in a moment that truly matters. They're unable to score a goal or they're unable to defend. And one of the ways that those sort of moments are described is choking in a big moment. The decisions of Mikel Arteta in terms of the player personnel yesterday constitute a form of choking, constitute a form of a manager who goes against all the grain and all the logical decisions that you could make when you're having players that are playing at their best level that they've ever played for you as a manager. And I'm talking specifically, of course, about Kai Havertz, who's hot, and I mean hot, scoring goals left and right. And for the first time with Arsenal, you can sense, you know what? You got in Kai Havertz a guy that can score goals for you. And what do? You change positions, and not only do you change him in positions, you put him back in the position in which he had been struggling early on in the season. How does that make sense? How does that, when you sit down as a manager, how can you convince yourself of making this decision and saying, yeah, this makes sense? I can tell you, as a striker, when you're hot, everything is clear. Everything is clear. The goal is clear. Your first touch is clean. You begin to understand and anticipate where the ball is going to bounce. And seemingly the ball finds you in good spots all the time inside the 18-yard box. Everything becomes instinctive and natural. And you try to ride that wave as long as you possibly can. So if you're a manager, you don't mess with that. You don't touch that. Because the hardest thing to do in our game is to score goals. That's the main objective, to score goals. Kai Havertz was scoring goals for you and you decided, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you 40, 50 yards away from goal. See how you like that. That doesn't make any sense.
Mario, how much blame should Arteta carry after this result?
It was a difficult moment. You know what the thing is? We've been watching them and we always say that, hey, these are the times where we expect a lot more from them. And to slip up like that, I think, Arteta will look at it and also... If we look at City has a team that has so many players that they can bring on and change the game. At Arsenal, they most likely play with the similarities all the time. They have the similar, 7 players that are always in the team. Even the guys at the back, when we talk about, Gabriel, you understand, those kind of, the defenders are normally solid. But against Villa, the way Emre plays, he set them out.
We've obviously lost Mario there. You look at it, like starting someone like Zinchenko, who hasn't had a good season. Gabriel Jesus hasn't been the same player that he was when he first joined in such a big game.
Yeah, we touched on it yesterday. I don't think there's anybody other than Arteta and obviously his staff that thought they'd made the right decision with Havertz. I think the fact that the Zinchenko plays, I don't think that's a major reason that they didn't play well, but I think absolutely the fact that he moved Havertz, as Ali said, 30, 40 yards away from goal when you are the team's goal scorer right now, that makes no sense. Can I just say on his statement though, because I think we have to remember what he said was straight after the game.
Right.
Now, can you imagine what's going through his head? They've just blown it, basically. And he'll know that all the questions are going to be coming. And the fact that he turned around and said, you know, we could have 3 or 4, I think we've got to give him a little bit of slack, because when you sat on the bench, you know, the shot that Saka had that went wide when he comes in off his left.
Yep.
When you sat on the bench, that's in.
Right.
But the truth is, it wasn't. It was outside the post, and the goalkeeper had it. Saka had another one where he hit the side net. Jesus had a header that he could have...
Trossard had the big chance, wasn't it?
One chance, but not 3 or 4. But from where he's watching the game, and straight after the game, in his mind, that's where he gets these 3 or 4 chances from that they should have scored. I'm sure if he was interviewed today, he wouldn't say that, having re-watched them and having watched the game.
But he would have known that in the second half, at home, knowing
What happened in that second?
Yeah,
How did you put your finger on it, Ali?
Well, he can put his finger
Yeah.
on it. It's amazing to me that a team that knows what has happened this weekend in the Premier League, the fact that Liverpool had lost, that you're tying 0-0 at home against a good team in Aston Villa, that you have been better than them in the first half. Every aspect of logical thinking going into the second half, you would have thought Arsenal going to go on to win this. They were carrying the momentum from the first half. And how does this team then become a lesser version of themselves? And when I say a lesser version of themselves, I really mean a team that was unwilling to be who they have been. Go press higher of the field. Your line of confrontation, high energy. It cannot be a physical thing as much as it is a mental thing. It cannot be a physical thing because it is who you are to take that step forward. And the fact that instead of taking a step forward and pressing higher the field and forcing mistakes higher up the field, you are actually waiting for Aston Villa and allow Aston Villa to grow in confidence in the game. That had no logical thought whatsoever. It does not match the personality or the makeup of Arsenal. So it isn't just one player. We focus on Havertz. It isn't just one player. It was symptomatic across the team that their first reaction, actually, when they got pressed a little bit, was to take a step back instead of taking a step forward. And that goes against everything that we know Arsenal have done this season.
Of course, Arsenal, before taking a look at their next Premier League game, have the little matter of the game in the Champions League against Bayern Munich, all to play for, of course, after that 2-2 draw we saw play out last week. Everyone has Bayern going through with the exception of Steve Nicol.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, I remember that argument we had last week. Mario, I want to start with you. How much does what's happened this weekend affect Arsenal going into this tie against Bayern?
It's a difficult situation. Why? Because, you know, Arteta made that comment too. He said, now it's the time for my team to bounce back. So that is going to be a tough one. But then on the opposite side, you know, Tuchel also don't want to make sure he keeps his name high as well and try to do something at Bayern. You already lost the league, but then going into this situation, you want to make sure that you play against it. They've been your rivalry already when he was at Chelsea, so he knows that. So I have a feeling, you know, like at the beginning of the game, I was all Arsenal before the first game was played, because I was like, they're in top form, they're going to do it. Now, seeing this game, what they just recently did against Villa, for getting exposed like that, I have a feeling that Bayern definitely has a chance. And because it's in Germany, I think it's not easy to go and win there.
You, of course, put up the argument last week after the first leg that Bayern can't consistently put in back-to-back performances against a team like Arsenal.
Yeah.
If you took your stubborn hat off, given what happened this weekend...
Before you go any further then.
Yes.
Please tell me, give me 2 games.
No.
3 games where they've actually played well in a row. They haven't.
They haven't.
So it's got nothing to do with being
now
stubborn.
we're going back to this. They haven't played well in one game.
It's got nothing to do with being stubborn, though.
No, but this is the point. How much does what happened in that match against Villa, particularly in the second half, make you question your decision going into that second leg to say that Arsenal were going through?
I don't think there's any doubt that it takes a little chip off you. You know, something's chipped away. A bit of confidence does get chipped away. The problem is we don't know how big a chip it is.
Right.
And again, the truth of the matter is it's a horrible half of football that happened absolutely 100% at the wrong time. But it's the first half since the turn of the year. I mean, they've put together so many games and all of a sudden they are horrendous.
But you
to
could
try and put your finger on that is almost impossible.
I understand what you're saying, but they weren't brilliant against Bayern midweek.
No.
So it's not like they've been brilliant and then all of a sudden it's one bad half against Villa. This has kind of been building a little bit.
To be honest with you, the reason I'm going for Arsenal to win is because I don't trust a Bayern side, particularly at home. I think of the Leverkusen when Leverkusen started so well, it was now we'll find out how good Leverkusen is. They're coming to Bayern to play in Bayern. And they completely outplayed Bayern. And then Bayern have all the troubles again. And a couple of weeks ago, Dortmund are coming. Bayern are still in supposedly the title race. OK, we're going to see Bayern now. And they got completely outplayed by Dortmund, of all teams. So, honestly, it's not as much about Arsenal. It's more about a Bayern side that I just don't trust, because from anywhere they can collapse.
And you would not be incorrect, Stevie, because we have
Can you please explain that to this guy?
We have.
The problem is now Ali's going to say that Bayern are going to go through, which completely knocks on your argument, doesn't it?
He's just completely agreed with me.
Yes, but now he's going to give you a reason why he thinks Bayern are going to go through.
All right, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's listen and see what he says.
Well, let's do that, Stephen.
Right.
That's a great idea that I just had.
What I would say is that this is the only thing that Bayern have to play for. The only thing. That's it. Obviously, we saw the celebrations at Leverkusen. Yeah, that's over. That's gone. The German Copa Cup, over. Yeah, you got eliminated by Saarbrücken, over, right? This is the one thing that will get the full attention of Bayern Munich. And talent-wise, this team can match Arsenal. At their best, we haven't seen their best, and that's where I agree with you, Stevie. Yeah. At their best, Bayern can beat Arsenal, and I think will beat Arsenal and will go through.